Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wickedly Yours, personal, unheard, and unknown. Today, I have a very, very special guest in our midst, Mrs. Madhubala Kapoor, ma'am, who I've known for when I started my formal professional work in Hyderabad as a legend, an icon, and I still maintain that. So, welcome to our show, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am has been the former principal of Nasr girls in Hyderabad here, a legend in herself, and legend because of her work ethics and the way she would be with kids, and that is what we always heard about. And whenever I would visit school, it was like I was in total awe of her, seeing her work around the school environment and with the teachers. Ma'am, it's a pleasure to have you in our midst in Wickedly Yours. Meti, I think you've met ma'am before.
Yes, I did. Yeah, each time that I met, I got to hear something new and something so different and what all you've done. So it's
I wonder what it
pleasure. All good, all good. It's an absolute pleasure having you.
Ma'am, you've been an educationist for I think the longest period of time in some of the best school here, one of the best schools here. And it's not just me, everyone maintains that you've been a legend. But when we talk of a school environment, there's so many influences a school leader brings to the table. So what kind of influences you thought made you Madhubala Kapoor, ma'am?
Well, it's basically working at three levels. And you start first. For me, the most important element, or I should say, factor in education was the child, the teacher, and after that was the community, which means the parents. So I had my way of dealing with each in a different way. But one thing was there. I was a teacher for a long time before I became the principal. And it was like looking at the world from the other side. As a teacher, you see so many other things. You haven't done your homework. Why didn't you do this? And suddenly, as the principal sitting across the table, I came to know the teacher brought a complaint. The girl is not bringing her books. What is it, child? Ma'am, we shifted the house and all my books are all over the place. I can't find them. Simple thing. A simple thing like this would solve the problem. So a lot of problem solving is there, not only for the children, but for the teachers and very often for the parents also. These days, I should say, I don't know whether I'm right or not, but at my time I felt that half the time we were bringing up the children because the parents didn't have time or didn't have the right perspective of what is there. We have parents who come to see the child's performance instead of looking at the child, what the child is lacking or what she's done, good, got good marks, and complimenting, you've done history very well, congrats, oh, how nice, keep it up. They would flick and see what the other children have got. See the top 5, compare, and that is a terrible thing. Literally, we had to, stop showing them the record registers, only see your child's performance. There's so many little things that go to build up, and children really like that, because they don't want to be compared to, they don't like to be, they don't want people to speak about them all the time. So, yes, it's a difference. And teachers, of course, are so vital. You have to keep them grounded, you have to keep them comfortable, but at the same time, you have to have a very, very tough what you call supervision over academics, because that's what the school is about.
All about.
Yeah, you can have 100 activities, let the children enjoy themselves, but the basic thing they've come to school for is learning. And me, with my, I don't know whether it is my old public school background or the way we were brought up, for me discipline was important. But I didn't believe in stamping it on people. I'd like it to come out from there. So one of the very good things is talk to the children, talk to the teachers, talk to the parents. It helps. If 20 things you tell them, out of that, even if 10 things they manage to imbibe, it's a great achievement. It's also good.
You said, ma'am, you were a teacher first and then you became a school leader on the other side of the table. So the biggest difference was you said you understand the perspective from this end to that. Yes, but what was the biggest challenge when you first became a school leader?
Having myself accepted as the principal, because the person I took it from was the founder principal, the owner Begum Anis Khan, and my God, Anjali, she was a legend in herself.
Yes.
And to measure up to her, it was difficult in the beginning. It was difficult in the beginning because, as I told you, comparison is a terrible thing.
At all levels.
At all levels, yeah. But I think within about 6 months or 10 months, I had found my way. I had found my way how to, handle it. There are a lot of insecurities. She was the principal for 35 years before, or 30 years, I guess, before she gave the school over to me, and she gave me full independence to, work.
But that's a great thing.
That is what helped me. That was
that
helped me. It helped me
absolutely.
grow. She helped me grow because if you have the freedom to explore your thoughts or what you want to do, it's a big.
So, ma'am, when you took over, so did you make major changes, or like, how did you bring in that stamp of your leadership?
There are two ways when change takes place. One is you gently take it on, and the changes must be gentle, and especially when you're dealing with people and children, especially children. You can't have drastic changes in their lives. It's difficult. So that's one way to look at it. The other way is when you come, I am the new person. Whatever changes I make, they are the best. And do everything will come to that sort of thing. I never believed in that. What was very good, or what was, I should say, successful, I carried on with it.
And the fact that you were a teacher there, and then you moved to become a principal, so the teachers also could relate to you, and then I think it worked better that way.
Yes, and I could understand the problems of the teachers also.
Yes, absolutely.
Teachers also.
And that is very important.
Very important. Very important.
Yeah.
Maybe my what I should say, HR was strong because I had done a master's of social work before I got into the teaching line also. So it helped. And basically everybody wants somebody to listen.
Absolutely.
Whether it is the children or they are the teachers
Or the parents.
Sometimes parents would come to me. It was too funny at times with their personal problems. But I never said, I never turned my back to anybody for any help that I could.
Ma'am, I'm sure you're associated with a lot of schools. The other day I was hearing another friend of mine saying that you were being asked to be on the board of members and all that. So I'm sure you see the scenarios in school now. And
I know what it is, but somehow how did you get to that?
I'm not getting to that. I'm just getting to the fact that when you were there and what you know about the schools now, what are 3 things you say that has changed drastically in the school scenarios in the present times from what it was when you were there?
I find that, how should I say, there's a lot of assertiveness from the parents, which is not required, and undue, I should say, uncontrolled independence, or what should I say, freedom to the children. See, freedom has to be given when the child understands what to do with the freedom. Freedom doesn't mean anarchy. You know what I mean? Absolute freedom, you have to guide them in freedom. When you give them freedom also, you need to guide in which direction that you need to go to. Just leaving them and say, no, they'll find their own way. I find that a lot of and what should I say, unnecessary psychology is used where it is not required also. See, we grew up in times when they used to say spare the rod and spoil the child.
Yes.
That sort of a thing.
Yeah.
But I think we have grown up to be far more, although I have never believed in hitting a child. Believe me, I've never touched my own. Never. I hated that about anybody. But sometimes you need to be. How my biggest thing in the school used to be, let's work out what is the system of punishment that we can give to a child for whatever wrong they do. And then in that, to be able to guide the child, no, you can't do this. You can't tear books. You can't, pick up somebody's stuff and walk away. You can't leave the school without permission. These are little things, especially in the girls' school. I was very particular. You cannot get out of the gates until you have a written permission from your parent that you need to leave early. But you got a child doing something wrong, and you had the parent coming in and protecting the child. How do I teach the child values?
So difficult.
You have teenagers, girls. You need to be particular about handling them. I'm not narrow-minded. I've always believed and felt that co-education is the order of the day. Children must go through co-education, but parents don't like. Half the time I think we had this huge numbers in our school because parents don't believe in co-education. Yet I feel that girls who are in the co-ed have more confidence how to tackle life and things like that.
And ma'am, Nasr has always been, as a girls' school, has always been at the forefront of having celebrities coming out of the school in a large way. I mean, it's been there.
I think that's because of Sanya, but there were a lot of girls who have done very well.
So is that the school focuses a little bit somehow? Some of the schools do focus on some of the high achievers. And do you think that the students, the other ones, do feel bad about it?
No. I won't say that we focused on the achievers.
No, not about you. I said that you had celebrities, but now we see that a lot of high achievers are always advertised and focused. Do you feel that the other students would definitely feel left out, and that shouldn't be the order of the day?
No, you shouldn't leave any child out. You shouldn't leave any child out. Every child is important.
Yeah.
But it depends on the schools. You can't say anything about that.
Welcome back, everyone. Ma'am, Matri had a very pertinent thing while we were just chatting up earlier about this parents, the working parents having a little bit of a thing. So you were sharing
I was saying that I think that they become a little more indulgent with the children, trying to compensate them for the time they don't spend with them. So in that, sometimes the children love to have their own way with everything, and the parent wants to protect the child, wants the child. Their way of dealing with the child is, no, my child is correct. So they will never tell them anything. Whereas in school, we see a different side altogether. So there are a lot of things that we have to do to try and groom the child, to try and tell them, no, this is not correct. Even if you have the freedom to do this, it is not your age to do this. But it's tough if the parents are giving them the freedom to do whatever. It's very difficult for us to tell them you can't do it. Or say, okay, fine, don't do it in the school. Don't want to see you in your uniform roaming around in a pub. School children are not meant to go to pubs. But in the beginning, when it all started, it started with those bowling alleys or something. My God.
Yes. Shopping malls, bowling alleys, everywhere.
You want to go out, you go out.
I've seen.
But you don't wear my school uniform and then go around.
Yeah.
Sorry.
True.
So, ma'am, how challenging has the role of a teacher become in present times? It was always, very important. But do you think it has become more challenging to be a teacher right now?
Oh yes. Well, haven't you seen just now what's happened in Chennai? The teacher must have reprimanded the child. Teacher must have said, you're not doing well, you can't understand anything. And maybe she used word like you're dull or something like that. Whatever. Kid has gone and committed suicide. And now the two teachers have been arrested. So as teachers also, now you have to mind your P's and Q's.
I think in today's world,
It's a
very difficult decision to be a teacher.
You can never satisfy the parent. Like I said,
never.
The things have changed, like we were talking, and like it is, the parent has become like a customer that you have to satisfy. Everything the parent says has to be looked into, even though sometimes they are outrageous suggestions.
Very true. So, ma'am, is it that we as a society have been responsible for making this out to be education and schools to be the service sector? A lot of people blame it on that fact that it has been now categorized as a service sector.
Yes. They say business. They say it's a good business. I can't stand that line because I belong to the old school where I been to schools or wherever I studied or whatever. They were never treated as a business proposition. They were started by people who loved education and
The passion,
who wanted to spread education. Even Nasr, for that matter, Begum Anis Khan started because she wanted good education for girls in Hyderabad.
Yes.
True.
So when you worked with those people or studied in that background also, somehow you can't stand people telling you
That it's a business.
It's a business. But it has come like that now, Maitri.
Absolutely.
People have started
I
treating
totally
it like that.
How important is teacher training, ma'am, in school scenarios? And have you been neglecting it?
Teacher training is important because it helps the teacher to be very organized, systematic in or many aspects like your evaluation or how to make a question paper or how to deliver to the children. But in the end, I think experience and learning from your seniors.
Matters.
That's a big thing. I can't tell you how much I learned from my seniors. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Very true. All of us have.
We
I
learned
would
a
say
lot
that.
from my seniors.
I mean, life doesn't stop. Keep learning.
Keep learning.
Yeah.
Even now, when I'm seeing things and I see my grandson and I find, oh, this could have been done this way and this could have been done that. It's there. Life is like
Especially when it comes to technology, so we always
I'm
tend to learn from the younger generation.
now I can't manage the things that the children are managing.
Yeah.
True.
And the pandemic has kind of forced everyone to fast forward their learning about
A lot of damage has been done in those online classes because I have yet to hear a parent, whether here or my friends or relatives even abroad, have complained of how this online classes have spoiled things where the children are concerned.
So we've lost kind of 2 years of
2.5 years. 2.5 years. A lot of change in the way, the pattern, and in relationships because of that.
So, ma'am, in scenarios like this, what are the things that parents need to keep in mind with the pandemic just probably behind us, hopefully, touch wood, and with the school scenarios changing so much, and there's so much of technology bombardment for the children. We were just talking of parents working and having a very fast kind of a life where no one seems to be having time for each other. So what are the things as parents that they should keep in mind in the present things? If you were to give some words of wisdom to them, to tell them to keep in mind, first say 1, 2, 3 things to just keep on track rather than
First of all, let me tell you, children learn by example. Parents have to set an example. They have to spend time together, not only the husband and the wife or the parents, the children with them. First thing they have to do is to build up that family. Everything begins with the family. Family is very important. And a peaceful family life is very important. And how much security it gives to the child, I can't tell you. They have to understand that value. They have to understand the value of honesty, compassion, being truthful. If they don't teach the children this, it's all right, you will get solid degrees, you can go to the highest of the triple ITs or whatever you call them and all.
That's a
In the
human
end,
being, yeah.
Yes. But in the end, what you are and how you conduct yourself is very important.
Absolutely.
Teach your children manners. Teach your children values. Values are universal to all ages. I've always said it to the teachers, I've said it to the kids. When we used to have the 8th class coming in, they had to choose their subjects for the 9th class. Whether they want to abandon science totally or they want to take up these subjects. And that was one time that I got to speak to my 8th class parents. And that is the most crucial age at that time, 13 and 14. And that's the time when I used to tell them, look, this is what you need to do with your children. Spend time, listen to the child. They don't want to listen to the child. They don't want to listen to the child. And it's very, very sad because at times they have so many fears, inhibitions, so many
Somebody
things
needs
inside.
to sit and
Somebody
talk.
needs to talk to them. And that's what's happening in the school. It's all coming out in the school.
Yes.
Either in the form of aggression or in the form of, I should say, a loner being a loner, so many ways that it manifests itself. And I think all schools now should employ counselors. You need to have counselors in all schools so that the child can go and talk to. Just talking to somebody helps at times. And that's why I said the teachers are playing a very important role now, literally almost bringing up children.
True that. Ma'am, the teachers themselves have a busy lifestyle. They have their own children and they have a very demanding career.
That's what I said.
Said,
It's
yes. Yes. So
you have to be a superwoman.
so that's
Teachers are super women.
Superwoman. You have to just dash into every situation
Yes.
and manage that.
Yes, true, very true.
So, ma'am, when we see the schools now, we see the teachers in a demanding situation. We see the children changing. We see an environment which is like weird. What do you think is
I
our
think
future?
it's a very tough time to grow up in. I think it's a very tough time to grow up in.
So we had it easy.
I think I had it much easier. Nobody hounded me. Why haven't you got 100 out of 100? Hey, if you get 95, it's not enough. You get 90. I think it's very good if you get anything above 80. Oh, who will want to give him admission? They say. Who will give her admission anywhere if she gets like this? And from the 7th standard, they're going to coaching classes, which will coach them to go to entrance classes. So entrance classes also have coaching classes. It's a weird life the child is leading. No time to play, no time to talk to your own friends or peer group. It helps when they are with and in every home there are one children, one child, two children. At least if two children there is companionship. One single children living in flats. Children living all by themselves. How do they?
They could get hooked onto these tabs and computers
That's
and
it.
stuff.
That is their companionship.
That is it.
That's it. They
Yeah.
spend more time with that.
Yeah.
So they're learning like that, and they listen to those. They watch those horrible serials with terrible language, and they're talking like that.
Very true, very true. So coming to language, ma'am,
I used to find it very funny when the girls used to say, "Hey, dude." I said, "How does a girl become a dude?"
Now everybody's a dude.
Hey, dude. The older women are using it, hey, dude. I guess I'm an old-fashioned.
It's a
lady.
separate lingo altogether, which we are totally not aware of.
And their email language has become like this spelling. So you know that 2 alphabets from a word signifies this. I'm lost when I get messages like that. She's laughing.
Yeah, we are all old school, and I always write the entire word.
Yes,
the entire
yes.
word. I never use shortcuts. I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know how to use it. Also.
Yeah, some of the things, the acronyms we really don't understand. I had to ask several times, you know, what does it mean? Or Google Baba is of course there to help you out, so when you can type and find out. So thank you so much, ma'am. It's been so wonderful talking to you and recounting about years gone by and what the ages and the years hold for us now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, that
Thank
you were
you very
in our
much.
midst.
Thank
We
you.
just have curated a small hamper from Wickedlyours, me and Menchi. So this is for you.
I came empty-handed.
I know. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
It's so wonderful talking to you, especially, you know,
Absolutely.
especially the ones we did off
But I'll tell you one thing, I think I've talked so much after months.
Really? This has been an absolute
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you.
Thank you so much.